In the story with David and Sarah as they're trying to go off to the beach, I wonder what you made of some of the interactions, specifically around this idea of developing emotions and developing gifts. First of all, on developing emotions, I wonder, did you notice that Connor was struggling with fear, Molly was struggling with anger, Neve was struggling with sadness, and David was struggling with a bit of guilt for how he'd spoken. And what's interesting is to watch how each of them handles those emotions and how the parents help the children to handle those emotions. Because what we want to get away from is either shielding them from having the emotions or tolerating the outbursts, but nor do we want to be dismissive or disapprove of those emotions. What we want to do is be able to connect with their emotions and help them to figure out how to move forward, because these emotions are gifts from God. If they're handled right, they can help our children flourish. And when we think of Connor and the episode with Rounders, you'll see that Sarah wants to shield him from feeling that anxiety. Just don't put him in a position where he feels the fear of having to go and play. Let him opt out so he doesn't have to. David rightly understands, actually, that's not going to be good for him, because life is going to throw these things at him. He needs to learn how to do it. Unfortunately, what David does is goes the other end, where he says, you just need to toughen up. You just need to sort it out. What Connor needs is talk through, well, how do you toughen up? How do you sort it out? And it's those four things that we looked at about engaging the head, the heart, the body, and the hands, in order to put steps in place to help figure out, well, why is it that Connor is freezing? You'll notice with Molly as well, she throws a tantrum when she doesn't get her favourite coat. Sarah's solution is to tell her to stop. Now, what we have to understand, for a 3-year-old whose fire alarm has not been calibrated, this taking her favourite coat from her is the worst imaginable offence you could do. She loves this coat. And so to tell this 3-year-old who is in a state of such rage that her favourite coat was taken from her, to tell that child, just stop it, it doesn't work. It's dismissive of her emotions. Actually, this is an opportunity to help her engage that strong emotion that God has given her and to figure out how that needs to develop. And it's the idea of connect and redirect, where when Molly absolutely melts down because she isn't able to get her favorite coat, to help her to articulate to her how she's feeling. So you say to Molly, are you feeling really angry? And she says, yes. Are you feeling really angry because I said you can't wear your favorite coat? She said, yes. Are you feeling really angry because I said you can't wear your favorite coat because you love that coat? Yes. And because you love that coat, do you want to keep it so special? Yes. You don't want to see it ruined, do you? No, I don't want to see it ruined. Well, see, if we take it to the beach, it's going to be ruined, and I want to keep this coat so special for you, so you can wear it on those great occasions. And that's why I'm asking you to wear this older coat. And then when we get home, if you want to wear the good coat, you can wear the good coat. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get her to engage with that anger, that fire alarm that is ringing, to figure out, is the house really on fire or is this just toast? And we're trying to connect and redirect so that she knows how to process that anger and realize this is just toast. I can take the old coat and I can go, because my mum is on my side. She's trying to look after my good coat. She's not trying to rob me of my good coat. And they can move forward. Equally with Neve, she's struggling with the fire alarm of sadness that is ringing. And again, her sadness is dismissed. Don't be sad. What Neve needs is, again, a chance to engage with that sadness, the head, the heart, the body, the hands, to figure out, has she assessed the situation right? Are there any insecurities or idols that need to be dealt with in order that she can fix her love fully on Jesus? Or has she got into such a habit that her body, at the first sign of any rejection, starts to panic and starts to get sad and assumes the worst? Or does she need a hand? Does she need a support through this and some advice and help? But notice that David is struggling with a little fire alarm. Yeah, he's struggling with his guilt. He just lit on the kids for such a small thing. But actually, David could use this opportunity to talk to the kids. So he's feeling the guilt, and actually that's his conscience saying he shouldn't have lit on the kids for what they did. Actually, that's an opportunity for him to model to the kids how he handles his fire alarm. That actually he is feeling guilty, and the fire alarm is ringing because a minute ago his angry alarm was ringing off the hook, and what he'd missed was it was just toast. It was just kids dragging their heels on a Saturday morning, and he shouldn't have got so angry with them. And the angry alarm did ring, and now the guilty alarm is ringing because he knows he shouldn't have done that. And actually, that's a chance for him to engage with his kids, to show him how even he can mishandle the angry fire alarm, but actually the guilty alarm kicks in so that he can ask for their forgiveness, where he can reconnect with them to say, actually, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And actually the little guilty alarm was ringing in my conscience to tell me that I should talk to you. In the story with David and Sarah, as well as looking at how to develop emotions, we also want to look at how to develop the gifts. Now, as you watch Connor throughout the story, it's interesting where his attention goes to. He's on his way to a beach, but all he wants to do is read the book, and he's so absorbed in this book that when his mum and dad ask him, is he looking forward to the beach, he doesn't even know they're talking. He's not ignoring them; he doesn't even know they're talking. And when they say, Connor, we're talking to you, and are you looking forward to the beach? His answer is like an encyclopedia of everything to do with the ocean and sea life. But notice that his mum kind of dismisses that and says, no more random facts. And then when they were trying to get to the beach, did you notice he'd lost his coat? And this isn't the first time he'd lost his coat. And then when he was at the beach and they managed to pull him away from the book to play with Molly, Connor ends up ruining the sandcastle. Now, one of the things to spot there is people are unique in lots of ways, but one of the ways that people can be divided are people who are at home in the real world, the physical world, and people who are more at home in here. Now, Connor is one of the fellas who is more at home in here. He loves the books, he loves the facts, and actually that's something to be appreciated. And rather than seeing Connor as someone filled with random information and antisocial, we want to see actually God has given him a special gift. That in here there is a world of knowledge and a world of learning going on. And if you take that wonderful gift of he has an incredible mind where there is so much going on inside that mind, one of the uncooked, untrained aspects of that gift is that sometimes these people can't engage well with others. And they can come across as antisocial, and what we mustn't do is we mustn't label kids like Connor as antisocial. They're living in their minds, and we want to appreciate their strength and not label them for their weakness. But you'll notice as well he clearly struggles with the physical world. He's constantly forgetting his coats. There's a certain clumsiness that when he's doing the sandcastle he ends up breaking it. And again, that's a symptom of a child who lives in here and is less at home out there. But what we mustn't do is we mustn't label him as the clumsy kid, because again, that's taking his shadow side, the fact that he's not as at home in the real world, and saying that's what defines him. That's what marks him out. Actually, what we want to do is we want to celebrate that God has given Connor a fantastic mind, and there is a whole world going on in his mind that we might know very little about. And yes, he's maybe not as agile and as adept and remembers where coats are and is able to watch his trailing foot that hits the sandcastle. But actually, Connor has been gifted in wonderful ways, and we as parents would need to spot those gifts and to help him cultivate his strengths and not label him by his weaknesses. Equally with Niamh, did you notice that when the invite to the party didn't come through, she was visibly distressed by this, and it sounds like it's not the first time. But did you also notice that when Sarah got to the beach, there was only one person who noticed that she was upset, and that was Neve. And again, God has given her this strength of empathy and sensitivity. And she can spot things that no one else can spot. But that also makes her more vulnerable to getting hurt. And did you notice the nickname that David has given Neve? It's the nickname Blue, because she's often upset. The problem is what he's done is he's taken her weakness, her sensitivity, her vulnerability, and labeled her by that rather than by her superpower. Actually, she is the one who has X-ray vision. She is the one who can see things that no one else can see. And the fact that she is that sensitive to see those means that it casts a shadow. She's also vulnerable to a lot of other hurt that other kids aren't vulnerable to, because her superpower casts a shadow. And as we are thinking about Neve, as we're thinking about Connor, as we're thinking about Molly, what we want to be doing is spotting, okay, they're doing things that are irritating, but those things are in some way connected to their greatest strength. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to focus on how destructive their raw gift could be. We don't want to focus on the shadow side of their gift. What we want to focus on is helping them to find their gift, helping them to capitalize on the gift and train that gift and develop it, while at the same time teaching them to manage their weakness without becoming fixated on it. God has made us to be parts of the body. Some of us are ears and some of us are eyes. And if we're ears, we're not that great at seeing, but we're awesome at hearing. And what we want for our children is to grow and develop and flourish and be the people that God has designed them to be. And we're in a wonderful position as parents to be part of that, as these children learn who they are, learn who God has made them, and thrive and flourish to be those people.